for themselves.
That's an excerpt from the Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle. The book is out now. I had a chance to read through the book, and I smiled throughout the whole thing, even though I know the story. There's the intricate details that my man Rob Kenner put into perspective, context to really, really paint a picture of who this man, I say is, because his spirit is still in us, Nipsey Hussle, and the impact his career had from the music to his life outside of the music. It's all encapsulated in this book. It's a wonderful book. It's a great read.
Yes.
I encourage you to get it down. It's written by somebody. If you don't know, you should know. Tracy, break it down for me.
Yo, I can break it down in so many ways. You brought up context, impact. I want to talk about how this man has contributed both to my life. Citizens, a lot of y'all know before audio, radio became my main mode of communication, it was writing. And I'm going to take you back before I started professionally writing to when I was an intern at Vibe magazine. And I was the type of young grasshopper that would knock on every single editor's door. It didn't matter if they were right in the middle of a 3,000 word profile. I would introduce myself and just ask where I can assist. And I had the balls to knock on the door of probably the most paramount figure in Vibe's history, Rob Kenner. And I must say, from literally the first 3 seconds that we spoke, this man was so generous with his wisdom, with his skill set, and really poured into me from day one until my final days at my internship, and then beyond into the present moment. He's one of the most prolific and influential voices within hip hop, not just in publishing, but I'm going to go ahead and say the culture. Like I said, he's a founding editor over at Vibe, but he didn't stop just there. He wrote for Complex, Genius, Mass Appeal, Pigeons and Planes, Ego Trip, New York Times, Billboard. But then taking storytelling even further, he has produced and directed documentaries for the likes of De La Soul, Nas, Post Malone. He's so important to the culture, citizens. And I'm so proud, honored to have him be on Sway in the Morning to speak about this new book, The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle, which is out right now. Rob Kenner, you there?
Rob!
I don't even want to talk. I just want y'all to keep going.
Them flowers smell good, right, Rob?
Oh my goodness. I was excited to be on the show. I was like, am I really going to be on Sway in the Morning? Is this really happening? Like, Tracy,
Of course.
Tracy, I have been so happy and proud to see you doing your thing on this program. You have really, blossomed. I don't even want to patronize you, but like you have really, it's just great to see you because I remember you as the intern. And, we had a lot of greats come through Vibe over the years. And, that's why Quincy started the magazine, because it needed to exist. This platform for this culture needed to exist. And, damn, were you there when Nipsey came up to the office, Tracy? Were you there on Wall Street?
I was not.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Well, that was Bulletin Got No Name, 2009. He came up to the office, and, I found out during the process of researching The Marathon Don't Stop that he had been sending his demos and homemade headshots and,
Right.
press kits to the next section. Remember, the next section was where Nas and Mary J. Blige got their first page in Vibe. And so that was the goal that young Nip Hussle set for himself. And frankly, I heard he was a little salty that we were not getting back to him, which is cool because like every goal that he ever set for himself, even the really high goals, he persisted, he focused, he locked in, and by God, he made it up into the offices of Vibe in 2009. And that was like a victory lap in itself for him,
Absolutely.
No pun.
Can you just listen? I love this story. I love hearing stories, Rob, by the way, man. It's great to have you on the show. Big fan over the years. You've been very consistent, and you're very important to the culture. Can you speak
Thank
to your?
you, Brian. You're a legend. Can I just say? I mean, you're all in the footnotes of this book. You know that, right? You check the footnotes, like.
Oh shit! Damn, am I? I didn't check the footnotes.
You're
I read
all in
the.
the footnotes.
I read everything, including the acknowledgments. Let me check the footnotes. Oh, shit.
You read it like a fan.
Yo, my man
No,
Rob, man, give it up for Rob Kenner, man. I'm in the footnotes. Damn it! Come on, man.
That's fire.
I will check it, and thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. And I see, my first time really finding out about Nipsey in depth was through Davey D. When Davey D,
the legend, yes.
Yeah, Davey D is, man, that's my mentor. And he did that Get Your Money Right seminar, and he was telling me about, I remember him first telling me about Nipsey, like, yeah, man, this kid is really pushing independence. He's doing everything himself. He's a visionary. And I thought that was important, but it's something that Dan Charnas, the author of The Big Payback, The History of the Business of Hip Hop, it's something he said I want to ask you about, because a lot of us know Nipsey's story, but not in the detail and the layers that you dive in the family involvement, in the friends, all the way to his all the way up until his murder.
Right.
Dan Charnas compared and contrasted Jay-Z and 50 Cent and Puffy and Jay Prince and Master P's rise as being successful and successful capitalists who just broadened their platforms and grew even bigger and went out for the bigger deals.
Mm-hmm.
But he described Nipsey Hussle slightly different, as being successful in the same way as a business mogul, but he said his capitalism was his activism.
That's right.
And that's what separated him from anyone else. Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean to you?
Well, when I was researching the book, I wanted to get a very clear picture of Nipsey's accomplishment from a business standpoint. And as you mentioned, Dan wrote a very in-depth book about the whole history of hip-hop business. And I had the sense that what Nip did was very different, but I just wanted to double-check the details, like Dan, you really locked in. So has anyone ever done it like Nip Hussle? And he couldn't think of anyone. The way I put it in perspective is like this. There's a lot of inspirational stories in hip hop, a lot of people who have made, the transition from nothing to something, as the saying goes, right? And we know, for instance, Jay-Z, all of his accomplishments, and he is now a billionaire. It's amazing what he's accomplished, and we know where he came from. He put it in his raps. But he didn't build Rock Nation in the Marcy Projects,
Right.
And it would be an extra challenge to try to do that, E40, who comes from, the Bay, he had a saying that hate come with the plate, right? And that is just a reality. It's an unfortunate reality. And of course the police harassment, the street culture that's a big part of Nip's whole life. All of these things made it an extra challenge to be 10 toes down in that same shopping plaza where he and his brother, came up. And so, to do what he did and keep it right there in the community and employ so many people and inspire so many people and provide legitimate options for folks that might not have options, and might have to get back into the street life that put them in problems in the first place. Nip is a shining beacon even to this day. And, today is an anniversary of an atrocity, and I don't even like to focus on that. The book is not about the tragedy. It's about the triumph. And, that triumph is continuing. That's why everybody says the marathon continues, because it's on all of us who get what he was doing to keep it going. I'm getting choked up talking about it. I'm sorry.
It's okay, man. Nah, it's all right, man. I'm getting choked up listening, Mike. Rob. Let's get choked up together. Go ahead. Keep speaking on it. It's
a serious thing. And I saw you, when he came on your show with the Crenshaw tape, that idea that he had is an idea that has been seized on by the whole music industry. Now, Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber sell their albums with bundles, right? And they combine the tickets, the concert tickets, and the album, and play the Nipsey Hussle created. And that Crenshaw tape that he sold for $100 per CD. I saw you take $100 out of your wallet and hand it to him on the show because you were supporting. You got what he was doing. You understood the value that he was placing on his art. And, you know, at a time when no one was paying for music damn near, everything's available for free, but his supporters loved him. Like that song you just played, it was a deep reverence.
It was a deep reverence, absolutely. And let me tell you, too, Rob, why that happened. For a couple of reasons. When I looked at him, you know, you and I have been in this business a long time, so our intuition might be a little more developed than others. And I knew he was more just than a great rapper who had good timing and had real transparent bars that kind of painted great pictures of his life. I thought of him and his movement as the representation that is going to take to kind of evolve our mindset in our communities and how we educate ourselves in financial literacy and bring it back to where we grew up. And I knew that representation, him being at that mall, being successful with his mixtapes, would impact kids' lives who grew up in that neighborhood who never saw anything like that. So it was important. It was important to me to get that $100. It didn't compare to Jay-Z's 10,000 though, Rob. I did what I could.
It's a small thing to a giant, Sway.
Trace, I'm gonna let you jump in. I want to ask you this because you've done so much great work. You know, work that you've done with De La Soul, Nas, Post Malone, and I can name a slew of other projects that you worked on that I think are golden. This one is different. They're all different, but this one I would imagine may come with a lot of pressure because of who Nipsey is to a lot of people. What was that process like for you? Did you feel the weight of making sure that this book was right, and how did you cope with it?
Of course I did. It was it's absolutely the most challenging project I've ever attempted. And I say attempted because the verdict is in your hands. It's in the hands of the readers. And so far the feedback has been really positive and overwhelming, you know, but, you know, it was something that I began before the tragedy of March 31st, just because I realized that, you know, there weren't even a lot of decent magazine profiles written on Nipsey during his time. You know, he's one of the most important and misunderstood artists ever in hip-hop, and really beyond hip-hop, just cultural figures in America. And, you know, to see his contributions slept on for so long, like, you know, I was blessed to meet him early in his run. You know, the Complex, I was at Complex when he tweeted, "Fuck Complex." You remember that? That was a fun one.
What a time.
They had thrown shade on, they called him an underachieving rapper on one of those funny lists they like to do. And then, you know, I had nothing to do with that list, for the record, but anyway, it happened. And then one of my colleagues, Angel Diaz, wanted to interview him because he was a real fan, and he reached out to the email address in the Twitter bio. It's like, "I'm a big fan of yours. Love to interview you because you just dropped this Crenshaw tape." Well, Nip was probably, you know, feeling like a champ at that moment. He made $100,000 the first night of the pop-up shop. And, you know, he was like, "Fuck Complex. You threw shade on me like just the other day, and now you're my fan." So that interview is legendary that he did. But, so, yeah, I felt pressure to tell this story with truth and authenticity and wrestle with all of the complex legacy of this young man. You know, this is someone that was a brilliant mind that could build his own computer, you know, and yet all of the real things that he was involved in the streets of L.A. and, you know, trying to unite the streets of L.A. at a time when, you know, people might have said, you know, how is, like, you know, someone from Rolling 60s, you know, kicking it with someone from another neighborhood. You know, he had Killa Twan from Watts and his crew from early, and then, of course, his friendship with YG. You know, it's very deep. The things he was doing, you know, nothing he did was easy. And so I guess, you know, the pressure that I felt, it was, I was able to bear that pressure because I knew this story was important. And also I had Nipsey Hussle's voice in my headphones every day. You know, I was listening to his interviews, I was listening to his music, and, you know, all through the pandemic, all through the George Floyd madness and the racial reckoning that's been going on in this country, I just felt like I got to finish this book. I got to, the world needs this book right now.
Wow.
I feel that, Rob.
Rob Kenner.
Can we speak in maybe if you can give us some meticulous detail on how you even begin a biography like this? Does it start with a call or an email to a family member? Do you is the first piece of writing you begin with like a standout moment in his life for you? Just a little bit of the bones.
Sure. Well, there's a couple of layers to your question, and I want to address all of them. This book is not an authorized biography. I want to say that. I've made it clear all through the, rollout of and even before when we announced the book. This is a journalistic account. This is my contribution as a lifelong music journalist to place Aramis Ascadome, Nipsey Hussle in the context of hip-hop history, L.A. history, and American history. I'm sure that there will be many books written about Nip, and, I know that the family is working on a documentary, which I'm sure will be amazing. So my process did not involve saying, reaching out to the estate and saying, I want to collaborate with you. This was me saying, okay, I just spoke with Nip Hussle for an hour and change to make a 5-minute YouTube video for Mass Appeal, which, it was a great video, but there was a lot more that needed to be said. And there was no way, I could fit it all into a short format like that. So I realized walking out of that conversation with Nip that I just had an obligation to really, present his story fully. And I wasn't sure if that would take the form of a documentary film or a book, but I just started. My process is about accumulating knowledge. So I was just trying to talk with people who had collaborated with him. What we do at Vibe, we report. We do on-the-ground reporting, right? So that's how I was trained. That's what I did. And I spoke with people who have been part of his campaign from the very beginning. And over time, I was blessed to speak with Black Sam, his older brother, with Samantha, his younger sister, and, people like Cousin Capone, that was one of his big homies from early days in music and in street life. People like Rallo Stiles, who went to school with him and has production credits on Victory Lap, but also was producing songs when he was known as Concept. He wasn't even called Nipsey Hussle in his early rap. And one of the deep stories in the book, without getting too sidetracked, Rallo told me that he invited Concept to jump on a record that somehow found its way to the ears of the late, great Afeni Shakur. And Afeni Shakur was so impressed with this record by an artist she had never heard of. She invited him and Rallo to fly down to Atlanta to perform at the Tupac release event for the posthumous album Better Days. You can't make this stuff up. So when Nipsey called himself Tupac of my generation, there was a lot behind that statement. And my hair stood on end when I heard that story. It's unbelievable. But yeah, so the process was gathering stories like that, putting them all together. And as I mentioned before, I didn't want to make the book about the tragedy, but in the writing, you played the excerpt, which I've never actually heard the audiobook until you just played that excerpt. I've never heard it before we started to say.
How you like it?
Right.
How you like the narrator?
Yeah, he was dope. I got to listen to his voice on other projects, and I was like, yeah, he'll be great. But I haven't actually listened to the full audiobook yet. But anyway, that was amazing. But I knew there was no place to start other than that celebration of life at the Staples Center and that moment of Lauren stepping to the podium. And, I just want to send heartfelt condolences. Once again, it's March 31st. It's a atrocious anniversary, and we just want to send love and healing light to Hussle's whole family and all of his loved ones. But that was, so the process of writing, as you know, Tracy, is a challenge to put any story you care about down, and you want to tell it the right way, the best, most powerful way possible. But I knew I had to start with that moment because everybody felt that moment so intensely.
Amen.
Yeah, I love how you did it, man. The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle, by Rob Kenner, who's with us. Has the family given you, I know Black Sam is in the book and his sister's in the book, have they given you any response since the book has come out?
I hope that I do. I have not heard any response from them. I've sent books to the family that were, taken to them by, trusted people that I know will make sure that they put them in their hands. And I pray that they receive the book in the spirit in which it was intended, it was love and respect, and just as we mentioned that, I'd like to point out that, I made a decision to donate a portion of the proceeds to the family and to the Neighborhood Nip Foundation, which supports aspiring artists from the community, not because it's an authorized book, not as a business transaction, but just out of respect, because that's something I wanted to do.
Absolutely. We got a couple callers that want to comment as well. I'm going to start with Kyle from Indiana. Kyle, Grand Risings. How are you, Kyle? What up?
Kyle.
Hi, what's up? How you doing?
Doing great, man. Can't complain. Rob Kenner is on the line with us right now. You got to get the book, The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle. You going to get the book, Kyle, before we talk?
100%, man.
Okay.
He nailed it. He killed it, man.
Okay.
For real. He said everything that needed to be said, from Nip's family to everything that he accomplished to the marathon continues. I mean, all y'all are legends, for real. I follow all y'all, Tracy, Heather, the Happy Hour, Sway. I've been fucking with y'all so heavy for so long. I'm definitely a citizen. I fuck with y'all heavy as fuck. I cannot believe I'm on here with y'all.
Hey, man.
That's what's up. Love is felt.
You're a citizen, Kyle. You're a citizen.
Hey, that's what I'm
To the
talking
max.
about.
Okay. All right, man. Have a great day, man. Thanks for your comment. I'm sorry, Rob. He didn't really want to talk to you on that one, I think.
That's okay. That's okay. Is Heather B in the building? Because I have to say,
Go say it to her.
Heather B, you have one of the strongest microphone voices I've seen you with BDP on stage at SOBs, and the way you say your raps is like a cannon firing. It is power. And I just, I'm a fan from way back, so I'm happy to be in the midst of greatness.
There you go. She'll hear it. She on vacation right now, Rob, but we're going to play that. I'm going to send that clip to her so she can hear it from you herself, okay?
Please.
All right. We got Kev on the line from Charlotte. Kev, you want to make a comment?
Kev.
Yes, sir. What's up? Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today?
Doing
What
well.
up?
Good. I appreciate the conversation first and foremost, Mr. Kenner. I got my daughter right now. It's raining, but as soon as this rain breaks down, I'm taking my butt to BookThe and grab that joint. Hopefully, it's in there.
Wow. That's love right there. Thank you so much. I'm glad that.
I also wanted to say just real quick about Nipsey, man. I remember 1 year ago today, I was on my way to school, driving down to Clinton College. I broke down. I was bawling, like literally bawling like a baby, because it affected me so much. It affected me because I'm a 37-year-old man, 2 children, married, and I felt like that was me. I really felt like that was me when Nipsey got killed. Just overall, just seeing him, knowing how he was, and knowing the impact that he had on our culture. I got a saying that I like to think that everybody ain't all street and everybody ain't all scholar, but Nipsey made it cool to be both. And I love the seeds that he's planted out here in this world. And I'm big on education. I'm big on our youth. I'm big on the future. And I just can't wait to see those seeds grow and blossom and become what he intended for them to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Thank you, Kev, and enjoy the book and tell you and your daughter you both are citizens.
Sway in the morning.
Citizens, brother. All right.
Big facts.
Big facts. I know we have to go, but Rob, what I think is we're going to have to do I used to have this thing with Dan Charnas where he would do a segment every week on the show. I can't think of
really?
Yeah, Dan. Dan and I go back early days of Sway and Tech Wake Up Show when he used to work with Rick Rubin over at American. And,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and remember what was the Art of Origin with Chino Excel, and so we go way back from there. He's a great friend of mine, and I used to have him come on the show, and he would break down a particular song and tell you the history of it. And
Wow.
I would love to continue conversations with you, and let's just talk, man, and share stories. And reading this book, one of the things I really enjoy too is how you showed the relationship between Nipsey and folks in the industry. And one of my favorite stories in this book is how he met Diddy, how he met Puff. And
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Lauren and was friends with Cassie at the time, and they went to celebrate a party or a birthday, and Nipsey met Puff for the first time, and Nipsey wanted to play on music. And can you tell us what happened from that point?
Well, I think it was just really cool to see that Puff was open to this, artist from LA, because people always try to, hype up the rivalries and the tensions. But, both of these are great artists that just love hip hop. And, when Nip said, I'm working on an album, Puff's like, well, I live here. Come press play. Let's figure it out, And Nip is such a fan of hip hop, in every era, every genre of, subgenre. He just wanted the blessing. And, he wanted to shoot a video like Hate Me Now. He wanted to, create a moment like that. And Puff said, well, I'm not sure if we can ever recreate that moment, but let's listen to this record. And, he gave him advice on how to change up the mix on the lead single, and compared it to a Dre and Cube record that, had that same, energy, that aggressiveness. And he said, if you can't play your record next to this record and match that energy, then, you need to go back to the drawing board. And, Puff ended up being kind of a creative consultant on the whole project. He has a credit on Victory Lap. And of course, the track that he collaborated on with Nip is one of the standouts on the whole album. So yeah, Puff's contribution to Victory Lap was huge, and Nip was very proud of that. He was proud to have the blessing of one of the greatest producers ever. And it just shows, his respect for the culture. That was one of the big things I learned about Nip in working on this book. He loved rap music, period.
Yeah,
like,
mm-hmm.
if he would never diss another rapper. He wanted to uplift this culture. And if you could improve your place in life and elevate your community with beats and rhymes, he was all for it. Whether it was, Lil Bow Wow or Criss Cross, he loved this music. And, I think everybody, even, Gemini that was, that you showcased just before I came on, he would have been rooting for Gemini, to take all the constructive criticism that you just blessed him with and the platform, and he'd be looking forward to that next record to see, how will he apply it going forward. And that's what the Marathon Don't Stop is really all about, is that spirit of Nip Hussle, needs to keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rob, thank you, man, for blessing us with your presence.
Indeed.
To Lauren and the family, you are an angel. You are heaven sent. Lauren made such a difference in his life. One of the things you even put in the book was you talked about a 2017 IG post that really says a lot, where Nipsey was talking to Lauren and said, my muse for 4 years, I probably owe her publishing. But I gave her a baby. I think we're about even now.
It's amazing.
What do you think? What would you think, just from your assessment, Lauren's impact on his life?
Oh, well, one of the cool things about their story is that they admired each other from afar before they met. Both of them were talking about the other to friends or in interviews. And, when Lauren reached out to buy some Crenshaw merch and some mixtapes, Nip didn't waste any time and, reached out on DMs. And, I think they were soulmates. There's certain people that you can just see are perfectly matched and support each other in every aspect of life. And, something that Lauren revealed just recently on the anniversary of Victory Lap is, that's her voice between songs saying Victory Lap on the album. But what she revealed is that while she was voicing those in the booth, she actually had their son crossed on her hip, while she laid those raps down or those ad libs. So it's hard to imagine how she's holding up, but her strength gives strength to everyone that's hurting. And, her impact on him in life is great. And certainly now on his legacy is you cannot even express what she means to everybody that loves Nip Hussle. So, sending much love and strength to her today.
Rob Kenner, ladies and gentlemen. Get the book, The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle. Rob, we'll continue having conversations, man. So much to talk about, all right?
I'm looking forward to it, Sway. Just stay work.
Okay, that's what's up. What's this number you calling from? This your number?
Yeah, this is my cell phone. Yep, lock it in.
I'm about to lock it in. Don't hang up just yet. Let me see that. I won't say it out loud.
Can I share one this way? So
yes.
I haven't talked about this much, but it's been an overwhelming response to the book. Thanks to everybody that's been posting your copies on Instagram stories and sending so much love. One of the calls last week, which blew me away, a professor at Howard University set up a meeting, and we're going to do it April 12th for the student body of Howard University with like 6 different professors and the dean of arts and sciences. And basically, the book is going to be taught at the most, one of the most prestigious, learning institutions in America. And that right there is the hope and dream that I had, is that this book would be worthy for inclusion on like Nipsey's reading list. He was a reader, and he shared his reading list with everybody. So to know that this book will be taught at Howard I'm very humbled.
That's incredible. And that's taking place what day?
April 12th. I'm not sure if it's open to the public. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'm excited.
Okay, well, that's a great book. You didn't say nothing. I pulled it out of you. Don't worry. But and then let me see what else you got going on. So you did a lot of the other things. You had the conversation with Davey D already. K-Day
Radio will be doing something. It might be on now. I'm not sure. Yeah, but Davey, of course, you've seen the interview you mentioned at the Get Your Money Right Summit, and then he interviewed me at the Commonwealth Club in San Francisco. And him and Jeff Chang just did the YA, the young adult version of Can't Stop, Won't Stop. So we did a little Twitch party last Saturday along with Rocky Rivera, who's a dope MC from the Bay Area who wrote her memoir, Snakeskin. And, that was the thing. So it's been overwhelming, Sway, but here I am speaking to you today and Tracy. I'm having my own little victory lap right now.
There you go, man. Hey, listen, Rob, the marathon continues, bro. All right, Rob Kenner, man. We appreciate you, man. We'll be in touch. I just shot you a text, Rob. You a citizen, bro. You a citizen.
Much love, much respect. Long live Nipsey Hussle.
There you
go. Absolutely.
All right. And on that note, we're going to come back with Mike News and the political news. Let's take them to Nipsey right now.